So a little bit about SCAG. SCAG is the largest metropolitan planning organization in the United States, both by land area and by population. We have 191 cities and 6 counties, Imperial, Riverside, Orange, San Bernardino, LA, and Ventura. Of course, San Bernardino County is the largest county in the United States. We have roughly half the state's population. We would be the 15th largest economy in the world. And there's our GDP, most recent GDP. So primary roles and responsibilities of SCAG are long-range plan, the RTP-SDS. We currently have a proposed final version of that. It's on our website. And so it's a long-range plan. It goes out to 2045 with a base year of 2016. SCAG also, another major role of SCAG is the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, which we do every 2 years. We do regional growth forecasting, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, RHNA, which we're doing right now. And we're also a regional data and information center. So Connect SoCal, what is it? Long-term vision and investment framework. It is a federal requirement. Every 4 years, all metropolitan planning organizations do this. The Bay Area has the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and I already mentioned San Bay, and there's others throughout California and the nation. We have both a financially constrained portion of transportation projects, and we have a strategic plan as well, which are unfunded transportation projects. We do have air quality requirements, and so both AQMB and the federal government looks at the emissions that result from the reduction of emissions and greenhouse gases that result from the transportation projects that the counties in our region build and implement. And then, of course, SB 375 has the greenhouse gas reduction requirement. Okay, so I'm sure you've all heard about the effects of transit based on the pandemic. It's been in the news a lot. There's been a lot of webinars that I've participated in. Obviously, it's resulted in drastic ridership reductions. It could potentially produce some long-term ridership reductions. A lot of business industries and people have gone to teleworking full-time overnight. And if that is implemented and keeps on going, or at least partially, that's going to affect transit ridership. There's the transit agencies have responded by reducing the level of service that's out there. So ridership in the SCAG region is down anywhere from 65 to 95%, very drastic. These are figures as of last week. Metrolink ridership is down 85%. The Amtrak Pacific Surfliner, which runs between San Luis Obispo and San Diego through Los Angeles, down 95%. Omnitrans ridership is down roughly 70%. And again, what are the long-term effects of the pandemic on public transit ridership? Increased teleworking. There's going to be safety and health concerns. People, when they start working again and need to get back on the bus. And so a lot of the safety mitigation measures that have been put into effect, rear door boarding, no fare payment, the front door is closed out of concerns for safety of the bus and train operators, and especially like in New York or Chicago, a lot of public transit employees, and even a little bit here in the Southland, have been exposed to the virus, and there have been some mortality. So they're basically frontline workers. Obviously, stepped up cleaning and sanitizing. Some agencies have required passengers to wear masks. And I've ridden transit a few times, several times in the last 5 weeks, and there's not a lot of people on the transit vehicle, so it's fairly easy to do the 6-foot distancing, but there have been occasions where I was unable to do that at certain times. So again, big cuts in service, huge drop in fare revenue. Source from California Transit Association estimates Omnitrans is losing about $342,000 a week in revenue. Of course, there's the fare revenue, and then there's also the sales tax. And San Bernardino County has sales tax dedicated to transportation. And the fare revenue is generally a small portion of revenues. Generally 20, 25, 30% higher if it's rail of fare revenue pays for the regular operations and maintenance. And so with the sales tax, if things continue, and the most pessimistic of scenarios, there'll be huge reductions in the sales tax proceeds going to transit agencies for capital projects and for operations and maintenance. The federal government, of course, passed the CARES Act, and that included $25 billion for public transit agencies across the country, including in our region. And it was more or less doled out under current federal formula grants or federal formula shares. So transit agencies do have a little bit of short-term relief with that money. So fast forward and recovery. Public transit is an essential service. There are very large shares of people and workers and students and all other residents who are dependent on transit to get around, and they're going to need to go back and get on transit. So there's been a lot of discussion in some of the webinars I've been in. We'll need big marketing campaigns. What's the message? How do we bring leery transit riders back? There's also in the transportation industry a lot of new technology and new mobility options that are competing with public transit sometimes, like the transportation network companies Uber and Lyft. And our region and nationally, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, there's been a general decrease in public transit ridership based on numerous things like new technology, Uber and Lyft. SCAG partnered with UCLA last year, and we found that people are buying, including lower income households, people are buying cars at a much higher rate than they used to. There are considerably less zero car households than there used to be. And then, of course, there's investments in active transportation, first, last mile, bike lanes, pedestrian improvements, micromobility, microtransit, and then going forward, if the new norm is definitely increased cleaning and sanitizing, that costs money. Social distancing, if that remains in place, including on public transit, that's again going to be a financial hit to transit agencies. And so these are all things that we're looking at and thinking about and addressing across the nation and our region.